Hey there, you're listening to the Jazz Central Studios podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jazz Central Studios podcast. My name is Sam Worthington, and we have a very special guest today, a treat to have on the podcast. He is a fantastic trumpet player. He is a band leader. He is a nationally acclaimed vocal artist traveling around singing songs and fancies for people all around the country. And he is a member of our Twin Cities jazz community. It's Jake Baldwin. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Did you like that intro?
I loved the intro. That was great. I like the fancies part especially.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Fancies, but
I evoke that emotion in people.
For sure. And what is the definition of fancies? Like kind of a daydream, or that's where the old English used to use it. Like if you're having a fancy, you're thinking about.
Oh yeah, I'm fancying this.
Yeah, you're thinking about fairies, or
it's kind of ethereal. I want my music to sound a little ethereal sometimes. So
well,
we'll
the
take
trumpet,
that.
All the angels back in there were blowing trumpets to announce.
Gabriel was probably ripping double high C's all the time.
Now explain to our audience precisely in scientific terms, what a double high C is.
A double high C is the Mount Everest of achievement to many trumpet players, especially in their egos. It's a very high note that they strive to play. Many will try. Few will win.
Well, and you can do the high C?
Well, on a good day.
Okay.
I have touched the summit.
Oh, so it is like that. It really is kind of Olympian.
Yeah, some people have it down better than others. It's like being a power lifter. Some people are going to squat 500 pounds. Some people are going to bench 800 pounds.
Right.
Not many people are going to do both. That's also probably a lie, and I'm making that all
up. Well, that's super cool. And what else is super cool, Jake, is that you're playing at Jazz Central this Friday, May 13th, 2 sets, 8 p.m. And tell me about the show. Who are you playing with and what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm going to have Toivo Hannigan on guitar. I'm going to have Adam Harder-Nussbaum on drums and Cody McKinney on bass. We'll be playing some of my tunes.
Wow, that's a great band.
Yeah, monsters, right?
Super fun band.
I mean, that's kind of what I want. At these Jazz Central shows specifically, Mac sort of gives you a chance to, like, try new things, but in, like, a very, like, professional, like, concert presentation scenario, so it's like still expected to be good. But what I like about it is that it really gives a chance for new collaborations and trying stuff out in like a sort of safe environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think collaboration is one of the best qualities, principles of Jazz Central and the Jazz Central project and the Jazz Central community.
Yeah.
And I believe it might be on their logo. Actually.
I think it is in their mission statement. I promise that's not what I was referring to. But I mean,
don't want to sound like a company man, but collaboration.
Why not be? This is the Jazz Central podcast.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great band. Toivo's so wonderfully exploratory. Adam is a joy and swings super, super hard. Cody's very inventive, big round sound. It's a type of set. It's a quartet. It's a type of set. You know, on some jazz shows, you might be drowsing off, or you get a little what's it, like catatonic, or you kind of fall into like fall into like, oh, what's happening? Not gonna happen in the show. It's sprightly. It's bouncy. It's gonna keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, that's the plan at least. I mean, I try to pick specific players that are unpredictable. I really like unpredictability within jazz, and the things I love about Toivo, Adam, and Cody specifically is that I never know what the heck they're gonna do.
Right.
Even with like my music, if I tell them to do one thing, they're still going to sound like themselves doing it, which is like totally unpredictable to me.
So what kind of music are you guys going to be playing?
So it'll be some of my tunes, which I guess would be best described as like a mixture of all my influences. So we'll say like jazz, folk, free, Midwestern sounding, exploratory stuff. We will probably play some of Toivo's tunes, and I don't know what those are, but I'm assuming good. Mm-hmm. And then just improvising. I think whenever I have a band, it's really important to give everyone kind of a space to shine. Like on my most recent album, I have at the end of the day, at the end of the recording session, I had everyone go in and just do a 1-minute improvisation. Mm-hmm. because it's like you're part of this music. And I want to have that sort of energy about this show too. So there'll be moments like that.
You heard it here, folks. Original compositions, inventiveness, risk-taking, fun. You got to see it May 13th at Jazz Central. Now, we have a couple of your tracks here teed up in the queue. One of them is entitled Maps in a Mirror. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's inspired by this collection of short stories by Orson Scott Card. I will admit that book was given to me as a gift in college, and it sat on my shelf for probably 8 years. But I always thought the title was really cool, and I'm like, I'm going to use that someday. I finally have read some of the things, but I just think that the name Maps in a Mirror is kind of like apropos for the way a lot of life is, where it's like you might have the directions and the answer right in front of you, but you're just looking at it the wrong way. And that's kind of how I want the tune to feel. So it's, you know, it's in 3/4. It's you kind of call it like a jazz waltz, but it keeps you off kilter the whole time, and there is this sense of sort of like settling in the middle that I want, but then it immediately is followed up with just like this sort of uneasiness where it's just, you know, it's a journey, but you're never really quite there.
Beautiful. Here's Maps in a Mirror. Jake, I really, really dig that tune, man, and the rhythm in the head. The rhythm in the head is fat and badass, man. It really is. You know, don't ka-bum, ba-ka-bum, ba-ka, right? That's rhythm. But the ba-ka, so that rhythm. So for you, the audience at home, folks, this is I don't want to get too advanced here, but the ba-ka, and it's almost like a kerplunk, ba-ka. And you might think about it as a 16th note pickup.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think I wrote it as.
A really tight, straight, mathematical, little sharp, accented pickup note.
Sure.
And the reason I'm flipping out about it is because as a bass player, that's one of my main rhythmic tools to swing. Is I have a thing that I do more than most bass players that I do to accentuate that exact rhythmic unit. The
sure.
I
love that though.
And I love this tune and I love what you did with it. So I'm expressing my appreciation, and tell me a little bit about the kerplunk or what you're thinking with it.
Honestly, it was supposed to kind of feel like you're like falling down the stairs a little bit. And I feel like that rhythm in the beginning, really, it's like, I wanted it to feel like it had this forward motion. And that's what the whole tune is about. It's supposed to just feel like it's flowing and going forward and doing these things. And somehow, like, I would say, like, trying to have that rhythm as opposed to the bridge where it gets, like, really wide and sort of lush. I just wanted, like, the biggest difference possible. And, because originally we tried it just being, like, just straight time behind it, like, boo, ba-doo, ba-doo, boo-doo-doo, da, boo, ba-ba-doo-ba-ya. And it just wasn't hitting. And then I was like, okay, try to do these hits with me and make it almost more like, I guess, more like a rock band behind me.
Well, yeah, it's like dropping a rock in the Caspian Sea of Boulder. So No, I love that tune, and that composition. It is, to me, it distinguishes. That sound is. I want more. So I really appreciate that tune.
Thank you.
When you make music, do you think about moods or perceptions or emotions?
Yeah, absolutely. So like being a trumpet player is a weird thing because the trumpet is such a hard instrument that just getting to play the trumpet is difficult. And then it's even harder to force a thing to like make music. So when you finally do get to that point, it's like very easy to try to be very like, I don't want to say like overly technical just to show that you can do it. So what I strive to do with the trumpet, at least, is to make myself feel like I'm not playing trumpet. I've always like wanted to be someone who is identified by their sound and not necessarily their instrument. So when I'm like making music on the horn, I'm just trying to think about like how would a trumpet player play this and then not necessarily do that, you know, because it's like everything comes from like vocals or well, mostly vocals. Yeah. I think it's a vocal tradition. I want to sound the most like that because that's where you get like the most possibility of like different inflections and like nuance. And the more you play trumpet like a trumpet player, I think the more you lose musically.
So what's the difference between playing the trumpet like a trumpet player and playing the trumpet like it's an extension of your voice?
Okay, I can kind of give
Let me sing you a song.
Yeah, no, I mean, can I give you two examples of like
yeah.
people that I feel like embody that, and I love both of them.
Yeah.
But like playing the trumpet like a trumpet player would be like, take Booker Little, for example. Like conservatory trained musician, does all this stuff all over the horn. And like he still makes a lot of music with it. But like he makes it clear like I can play the trumpet. I can play the crap out of the trumpet. And he's a big inspiration for mine. But like my favorite trumpet player is Kenny Dorham.
Wow.
Like the first time that I heard the album Quiet Kenny, I was like, this is it. Like that is the album. Because the dude, this is blasphemous, but the dude's not an amazing trumpet player, but like he is so full of music that he's transcending the ability that he has or doesn't have to play the horn. And that's Kenny Dorham. It's not a trumpet player. It's like Kenny Dorham playing. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I think about that. And I love Booker Little. I'm not like throwing shade on Booker.
Well, I'll throw shade on Booker. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, one more theory. What if the emotions that are opened and expressed by the musician are exactly proportionally, maybe not proportionally, but that's the amount of emotions that the audience will feel, almost in proportion to the amount that the musician is able to express.
Right. Wow. I mean, and I think that's true because like if people haven't gone through stuff and they play a certain kind of music, they're going to play it a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
One thing Bob Moses, or Rockalon Bob Moses, said to me in college, which at the time was really hurtful, but I got it. He's just like, you're a really good musician, you're a good kid, but you're never going to be a jazz musician. And he meant jazz with like a big J-A-Z-Z. And at the time I was like, what does this mean? He's like, well, you can't relate to those emotions and lifestyle choices and whatever on a personal level.
Wow. He said that to you?
Yeah, and I'm like this 18-year-old kid that's just like, da-da-da-da-da, I'm in college.
But he said you're never going to be it. Or he said you're not.
He said you're not a jazz musician.
Okay.
And I mean, whatever. People could see that as hurtful, but I think what he was saying is very similar to what you were saying is like, until you go through something, you can't really be sincere about it. And on that level, like when I'm playing music, like on the album that I made last year at this point, I really strived to not do anything that I wasn't really like going to be able to be totally honest and sincere about in my playing or writing. Because it's going to come across if you're trying to fake it.
Yeah, man. Now tell me about Walking. This was off your debut album, right?
Yep, these are both off of Where You're Planted.
Where You Planted, and that's when did you release that?
That came out in October of 2020. October 15th, 17th.
Sure.
One of those days.
So with Walking, it's a different type of thing, but sort of melodic lyrical thing comes out. Tell us about this tune.
I am the kind of person that is constantly humming or singing no matter what, and you can't stop it, and it annoys my friends and loved ones to the point where sometimes they don't want to be around me. Mm-hmm. But we were all doing that thing during the pandemic, if I can say it, where I feel like everyone was like, okay, I'll take my little walk today as my like form of social stuff. And over that point in time, I was just like, I would sing random things into my voice memos in my phone. And so this all kind of came together as like separate voice memos, like the I felt like that was like really like, that was like, this is the pace of me walking.
Whoa.
Because that I mean, I tried to put it as like the tempo, like listening back to the voice memo, I should find it sometime. That's like about how fast I was walking at the time. Because I was just, you're chilling, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
You're going in a giant circle. But it's not altogether pleasant or unpleasant. It just is what it is. And then I thought for a long time, I was like, what do I want to have over this? I could get like really technical and wild over it and kind of have that juxtaposition of like the simple with like the crazy. And I was like, no, I want like a nice melody that just sounds good. So the do, I just think that like really nice movement between like the major thirds, it's just that's all I really wanted. And then I knew Nelson Devereaux was going to play on this. He's an amazing saxophone player in town. And we just have such a good thing when we play in unison. I was like, yeah, this will sound sick together.
Beautiful, man. One for the history books. This is Walking from Jake Baldwin off his 2020 album, Where You're Planted. Jake, it was a pleasure having you on today. Very excited for the show on the 13th. Before you go, tell us about any plans or goals that you have, coming up here in the next year or so?
Sure. I'm starting to write some new stuff. I think once I had that first record out, I just got the bug. Like, I just want to be constantly creating so I can get it out of my head into the world and move on to the next thing. So hopefully I'll be working on a record in the next 6 months or so. There's some stuff coming up with the Four Freshmen. It's pretty cool. There's going to be an album coming out later on this year with Emmett Cohen and his trio. That's like a totally different thing that is very exciting. And then, most of my life I've spent being a sideman here in the Twin Cities, and I'm looking forward to playing all my friends' music and just like learning from them and continuing to do that.
Beautiful. He's a humble guy. He's a great musician, and we're very lucky to have him in the Twin Cities. Jake Baldwin, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Sam.
And thank you for tuning into the Jazz Central Studios podcast. Jake Baldwin's quartet play Jazz Central Friday, May 13th. Set begins at 8. 2 sets, actually. 2 sets, I know. Please arrive early or late. Jazz Central has limited seating. Or you can catch the live stream. Super well done, great production, great sound. Just kick back, relax, grab a cola, grab some chips, and whatever whatever else you got to do, and tune in online if you can't make it in person. And Jazz Central relies on your donation, so please consider donating to this wonderful organization to keep jazz alive in this community. Thanks again for listening, and have a wonderful evening.